Oh! Christmas decorations? What month is it? Ooh, it's December. I better get myself dressed up for the appropriate occasion. Ha! Here we go. It's Christmas!
The filming Daniel.
La 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 la. Oh, hey guys, finally back with a new video, and like I said in the intro, it's Christmas! Yes guys, the most wonderful time of the year is back, Christmas. Oh, those times. And, well, I had a bit of a changer-upper from the last few years. I mean, I've kept the same blazer from the year before, like last year, to make this Christmas suit. I had a bit of a change of jumper because I couldn't find the jumper I used last year. And, well, I thought I'd have a little bit of a mix with a top hat and Santa hat. Kind of creative, right? It might look a little silly, but I don't care. I think it's charming. So, we're finally back with some new reviews, and this is going to be the first Christmas review I'll be doing this year. So, what Christmas movie have I decided to do first for this month? Well, the thing is that this movie, which you're seeing right here, it's about 20 years old by now. It came out in 2003, and now it's 2023. And over the years, people have either said it's kind of annoying, or the greatest Christmas movie ever made. So, after 20 years of it coming out, and I've watched it many times, as well as one of my family members stating that this is probably their favourite Christmas movie ever, do I think that the critics are right to have some doubt about it, or do I think it's as good as everybody else says, and I think it's one of the best Christmas movies of all time? Well, let's sit back, enjoy your cup of cocoa, and let's dive into my review of the 2003 Jon Favreau directed, Will Ferrell starring, an awesome Christmas movie, Elf. So for those of you who don't know what Elf is about, Elf takes place in the North Pole, where all the elves are making toys and getting ready for Christmas under the guidance of Santa Claus. But one night, when Santa goes to deliver presents to an orphanage, a little baby accidentally crawls into the bag and is taken to the North Pole by Santa. Santa then decides to have Papa Elf raise this young little human and raise him to be an elf, who, when he grows up, is named Buddy. So Buddy grows up to be a half human, half elf kind of person. However, when he finds out that his dad may actually be in New York City, Buddy decides to travel the world to head to New York City to go meet his dad. However, his dad is a little bit of a workaholic, and not a lot of people around New York City have the Christmas spirit. So now Buddy must find a way to blend in with the people in New York City, understand not a lot of things in the North Pole are in here, bond with his dad, meet his family, forms a romance with a Christmas mall worker, and helps people to realise the true meaning of Christmas. So, after watching Elf for this video, do I think it's as good as a lot of people say it is, what one of my family members say it is, and as I used to think it is? Oh my god, this is definitely one of my favourite Christmas movies. I don't think it's as good as some other Christmas movies, like Arthur Christmas or maybe Home Alone. I don't know, I haven't seen Home Alone in a while. But this movie definitely has a lot of heart. So, you great movie, I'm going to place you on this desk right here so you can get a good view of my review of you. Did that kind of rhyme? But anyway, let's get on with the review and let's talk about why I think Elf has a lot of heart. The first big thing that I love about Elf are the characters and the actors. All the actors and actresses in this movie put a lot of heart into their roles and really made them come off as either realistic or they come off as whimsical. Of course, we have to talk about the man of the hour himself. The boy or man, elf or human heart that this movie contains, because this character is without a doubt the heart of the movie, and that is of course the character of Buddy the Elf. Oh my goodness. Buddy definitely has to be one of my favourite Christmas movie characters ever, and someone that I can always feel sorry for and can get along quite well with. Because yes, he is a human that has been raised by elves, so he can be a little unusual with human things. He can find it hard to fit in with other elves, and he is a bit clumsy and naive, but he really admires a lot of the talents that a lot of the elves and the humans contain, because he has so much passion and hard work and determination for Christmas and so much love to give. Because no matter what puts him down, whether it's his people telling him he's not an elf or he's pretty silly as an elf, he'll still work hard to create lots of good Christmas spirit for people, and he takes everything in his stride. Granted, a lot of people might find him to be annoying, and I can understand that because yes, he is really over the top many times throughout the movie, but I personally really like him. I just love how he's just happy being himself despite a lot of mocking or annoyance towards him. I just found it so admirable. And he does try to help out others in need, whether it's his brother or his dad or his family or his love interest in the film, or even Papa Elf. Like when he even leaves the elves, he has a lot of respect for Santa Claus and he says goodbye to Papa Elf because Papa raised him throughout his life. He can be not knowing about a lot of the dangers that could await him, and yes, he does struggle to think sensibly sometimes, especially when he hears Jovi singing in the girls' bathroom, and well, okay, I won't give away the punchline of the joke, but you'll see what I think. He doesn't really think sensibly sometimes, but that's definitely hard to make him unlikable, and it is kind of easy to forgive because he has no social communication with other people outside the North Pole, so it's easy to forgive him. And again, he's just such a lovely and enthusiastic character who just wants to look out for others and wants to really fit in and bond with his dad. And Will Ferrell gives one of the performances of a Christmas lifetime, because yes, he can be a bit hammy and over the top, but honestly, he's just so funny whenever he has to either yell or he has to come off as endearing in very like hard-headed kind of people, and I just think that makes him come off as very hilarious, especially when he yells the classic line,
"Okay, people, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Santa's coming to town."
Santa! Oh my God!
I can see Will Ferrell as an elf getting excited for Santa in this scene. But he also gives him a lot of heart and performance-wise that just adds a really soft, fuzzy personality to Buddy, and it's why Buddy is definitely one of my favourite characters, and I think that, honestly, he is a great role model for people to look up to in terms of the holidays.
Oh, I forgot to give you a hug!
Next up we have Walter Hobbs, played by the late James Caan, a children's book publishing executive and Buddy's biological father. He's not exactly the most enthusiastic worker because, well, he's a bit of a workaholic because he has to work on this book for his really selfish and angry boss, and he doesn't get enough time to spend with his family, and it even kind of turns his son against him. Well, his new son, Michael, not Buddy, because of course Buddy's going to care for Walter no matter what. But usually with a lot of workaholics in films, it always resolves in the cliche and very like confusing messages. Oh, you should quit your job and spend more time with your family. I'm usually not a big fan of that, because if you get fired from your job, you won't be able to afford food and rent for your family. However, I think Walter is definitely a good example of this kind of character done right, because yes, he can be a bit of a smug when it comes to his working. I mean, when we first meet him, he's revealed to be on the naughty list, and it literally shows an example of why he's on the naughty list, because he is taking back books from like this nun who reads to children, and Walt's like, "Ah, I see what you're doing, you're trying to make me feel sympathetic," when really you're the one who missed the payments. I mean, granted, payments are a bit important, but also, when you're acting the smug, yeah, it's kind of a problem. However, I think the example of why it makes it done well is for two reasons. One, you are supposed to feel like, okay, this character is a bit rude, but also like find a bit more enthusiasm around the Christmas times. And this is when Buddy comes in, because while he is annoying Walter throughout the entire movie, in those moments of annoyance, you can also tell that Walter is kind of considering, like, maybe this is kind of true. Maybe I should try to help Buddy fit in with society. And secondly, you do really kind of feel sorry for him as well, because you can see the frustration that's going through Walter's head, because he does care about his family, but he is put under a lot of pressure because his boss is like getting on him like, you must do this book publishing and you will do it on Christmas time, okay, I don't care, you do it right now or else you're fired. So you do kind of feel the pressure on Walter's shoes. But I think the most genius thing about Walter's character is James Caan's performance. Rest in peace, buddy. I think what really makes James Caan's performance so great in this movie is because while Will Ferrell is definitely a comedic genius in terms of over-the-top loud acting, Caan is a comedic genius in subtle over-the-top acting. Well, not even over-the-top acting for subtlety, because all of the very like down or very quiet expressions is comedic gold, because every time with a lot of the weird stuff of Buddy happens, he always has a very unenthusiastic expression on his face that, in my opinion, while kids and adults can laugh at Buddy, adults specifically will laugh at Walter's expressions. I mean, take a look at when he first meets Buddy.
Dad!
Alright, let's get it over with.
Wouldn't you feel the same way? I just think James Caan doesn't really notice that he's actually in a feature film and that he's actually walking across to work and this damn elf keeps getting in his way and coming off with crazy encounters. I just think that with the subtlety of the acting, it makes scenes even more funny, and sometimes it helps Caan to really steal every scene that he's in. And the bond between Buddy and Walter is definitely one of the hearts of the movie, because while they can be a little like ugh with each other and awkward with each other, at the same time you can tell Buddy's determination, because even though he doesn't even know his dad, he still says, "I love my dad, he is the greatest dad in the world." And again, that just adds to Buddy's heart and his like personality of his character. And by the end of the movie, their bond definitely comes full circle by the end. We also have the character of Jovi, played by Zooey Deschanel, I do hope that's how you pronounce her name, who is a Christmas mall worker who is going through the Christmas blues around this time, because much like Walter, she has a bit of like a stern boss, and a lot of the pressure of work is like getting in the way of her love for Christmas. But again, Buddy comes into her life and helps her to open up and be more expressive about herself in terms of song, because we find out that Jovi is actually a really good singer. And Buddy even talks to her many times, saying that she has the greatest singing voice in the whole wide world. And he does spend some time with her, and I really ate up the romance, because much like Will Ferrell and James Caan, Will Ferrell and Zooey Deschanel definitely have a good mix of subtle acting and crazy acting, because Buddy is definitely enthusiastic, while Jovi has a bit of a like a bit of a weird expression, which, much like Caan, is definitely comedic genius, as well as a bit of a smile like, okay. Which not only makes her come off as funny, but also makes her come off as kind of cute, because you can see that little smirk. And again, Buddy and Jovi's romance, great. And then we have Walter's family, including his wife Emily and his son Michael. Because we have Emily, who is surprisingly played by the same woman who played Clara, the love interest of Doc Brown in Back to the Future Part 3. I really liked her in that movie. In this one, I feel like she did a good job with what she needed to do. She made Emily come off as very caring, can make her come off as a bit confused by Buddy sometimes, but also shows considerate and wants to support Buddy and help him to fit in with this family, and also to help Walter see the better need to find some time for his family, but also to help him through the time of his work. And Michael, the younger son, who's played by an actor named Daniel Tay. Yes, we do have the same name. I'm not even going to mention that too loud because, again, a lot of people are going to make that joke. I think for a child actor, I think Daniel Tay did everything he needed to do for the character of Michael. I think Michael, while he was a bit of a spoiled character at first, because he was annoyed at Buddy at first, it's all come from the, annoyance and loneliness of not spending time with his dad and feeling like his dad is just focused on his work. So Michael resents his dad, but as he gets to spend time with Buddy, he finds more fun around the family area and finally finds a adult figure for him to look up to, and it all comes full circle as a family union. And I think Daniel Tay did everything he needed to do for a child actor. He made him come off as cool, but also made him come off as enthusiastic when he needed to. And I think this is the only film, well, one of the two only films I've seen this actor in, along with... Ugh, let's never discuss that again. How dare you ruin a good movie which was the original UK version? Why would you turn it into US? And then finally we have the characters from the North Pole, particularly Papa Elf and Santa Claus. We have Papa Elf, who is kind of like the storyteller of this movie, like the narrator. Well, I think it's for the beginning and the end. I don't know if I heard his voice throughout the entire movie, but I really admire this character. I liked the supportingness and parentingness that he gave to Buddy's life, and he tried to help Buddy fit in with the other elves. And then we have Santa Claus, who definitely goes out of his way to help Buddy, and also help him to fit in with elves as well. And believe it or not, I did not even know that Santa Claus in this movie was played by the same late actor who voiced Carl Fredricksen in Pixar's Up. Yes, Santa is played by Ed Asner, I think it is. The late Ed Asner. Rest in peace to you, buddy. Like James Caan, rest in peace to you. But I did not know that it was the same guy who played Carl from Up. And when I saw the movie again for this video, I definitely heard a bit of Carl's voice in Santa in this movie. And I think Ed did a fantastic job portraying this version of Santa Claus. This is definitely one of the most admirable Santa Clauses I've ever seen in a movie. So we got a lot of the main characters there, but we also have some really interesting supporting characters, like Amy Sedaris, I think that's how you pronounce her name, as the assistant for Walter, who meets Buddy. I think she did a good job there. We have a cameo from the film's director, Jon Favreau, who directed Iron Man and all that stuff, as the doctor who advises Walter to help Buddy fit in with New York City and his family. And believe it or not, I just researched this up. Jon Favreau also provided the voice of some of the stop-motion characters from the North Pole in this movie, which I found very interesting. And of course, we have the genius cameo of Peter Dinklage. I won't give away too much about what the punchline of this cameo is, but it's between Peter Dinklage and Buddy, and this scene is comedic genius because we have Buddy telling Peter Dinklage that he's this one thing and that he's being extremely nice, and Peter Dinklage's character thinking Buddy is mocking him and getting angry at him. I think the comedic communication problems between them in this scene is gold, and it all leads to a fantastic and hilarious payoff. So I spent a lot of time talking about characters because the characters are definitely what hearts the movie, what gives the movie so much heart. But let's talk about other aspects of the movie, like the cinematography and the effects. I think that the cinematography of this movie was great. Jon Favreau definitely did a good job at directing the camera angles of New York City. It makes the city come off as a little bit polluted in some cases, because sometimes Buddy would have to go to some very dark places, especially when it comes to going to that basement where he goes to work in the mail room for his dad. But we also see a lot of the festiveness in New York City, especially with the mall and the Empire State Building. And I also love the look of the North Pole in the movie as well. It made it come off as very festive and Christmassy, and I understand why Buddy loved staying there his whole life. The score in the movie is definitely great as well. A lot of festive tracks, a lot of jingles to listen to. It helps the comedic scenes stand out because a lot of it is blowing on a little trumpet with the comedic scenes, like. Sorry about that, I can't do trumpet sounds. But the trumpet there was good. And again, the festive bells also adds to a lot of dramatic scenes, which we're going to get to those later on, which we're going to get to just as we speak. Because I also admire the mix of comedy and heart, because oh my god, the comedy in this movie is gold. Absolute gold. I laughed a lot of times while watching this movie. I could not stop laughing at the comedic geniusness of the characters. Whether it's the over-the-top acting from like Buddy and some of the other elves, and some of the humans now and again. Well, mainly Buddy. But also the subtle acting of like Walter, Jovi, Walt's family and all that stuff. I just think that those comedic moments added so much. Like, we have that iconic scene with Peter Dinklage. We also have the fake Santa scene, which was funny. The moments where Buddy is like communicating or interacting with like these everyday human New York City artifacts, like him running across like the mall door and start spinning around, him like going into a coffee shop and shouting, "Congratulations! World's best cup of coffee! Good job, everybody!" And believe it or not, that whole section of when Buddy first goes to New York City, I think that was completely improvised. Like, that was like the first shot. Nobody knew what was going on, and they just went and took a risk. I just thought that was genius. But also the movie just has so much heart. It has a lot of Christmassy atmosphere. It does kind of follow the same message of like people need to believe in the Christmas spirit, but a lot of the like advantages for how they managed to succeed with this message I just think is admirable. The relationships between characters is just so wholesome, and again the heartness of the Buddy character. There's just something so fuzzy and comforting about a lot of the drama and the sweetness that this movie contains. So yeah, with all those praises that I have to give Elf, you can tell that I already love this movie. And yes, I think that this is definitely one of the most enchanting and admirable Christmas movies I've ever seen. And I definitely see why I think it's as good as I thought it was back in the past. However, I can't deny that while this movie is fantastic, I do have a few little nitpicks and irritations with it. Nothing that is really big or anything, they've only just kind of detracted from the movie for me in a little bit and stopped it from being the grade I could have given it. So anyway, let's talk about those nitpicks and irritations. And I think the biggest example of why the movie is kind of held back a bit is that while the story has a lot of heartfeltness to it, it also suffers from having a bit of a cliche big city enchantment character meets workaholic story. It's one of those stories where a very enthusiastic character, whether it's a real person or enchanted being, comes into the life of a workaholic who works in a big city, and this character helps the workaholic find more reason to spend time with the people that he loves instead of focusing on his work. We have seen this kind of story many times. Films like Bean, Paddington, and yeah, the 2011 Smurfs. Those movies have handled the same kind of premise. Well, Bean, it has a little bit of that, but I think the family was more of the mean ones than the person who's working. But anyway, it does have a bit of a cliche story, and while this cliche story, I didn't mind it too much, it did still kind of hold back a bit because yes, it is kind of that predictable story, and you can tell where the movie is kind of going from here on in. While I did say that the visuals for the most part was great, there are a few little visuals that were a bit iffy from time to time. I mean, the snowball scene is a fantastic scene. It's definitely cool and awesome how Buddy throws the snowballs at the bullies, and it helps Michael and Buddy grow closer as siblings. But the way that Buddy throws snowballs with his arms, when you see his arms, yeah, it definitely felt like that the camera was definitely on time-lapse at that point. And some of the effects actually kind of connect with my final issue with the movie, which is there is a bit of world building and separation between the North Pole and the human New York City world that many points just doesn't really add up. Because when you see the North Pole, when you see the outside of the North Pole, when Buddy's walking across the snow and meeting these enchanted characters, the stop motion on those characters are great, by the way, the layout of the sky around him kind of looks like that the North Pole is in, like, a snow globe. Now, granted, I think that's a great idea because it helps to add a little personality and adds a little bit of world building to the North Pole. But the film doesn't really exactly say if this place is a snow globe or not. It just has Buddy travelling across like these icicles, and it floats him across the sea towards these mountains where he walks to New York City. So, is this a snow globe world or not? I mean, it's pretty obvious that it's real worldness because at least the North Pole is Santa's workshop is in real life. So why have the sky look like it's in a snow globe? And it doesn't really say if the movie is a snow globe or not. It never explain why that's the case. They just show that the movie is like in a storybook. So it's kind of weird, okay? What's the separation between the humans and the elves in this world and how their world separates? It's, again, crazy nitpick. It just, in some cases, it doesn't really add that much up. But besides those few little problems and irritations I had about the movie, I still stand by my thoughts that Elf is a very enchanting, whimsical, sweet, character-driven, and personalised movie that I enjoy from beginning to end. I totally understand why I watch this movie every Christmas. I think it's every Christmas with my family because, like I said, some of my family members have watched this and have watched it all the time, and one of them has even said that it's their favourite Christmas movie, and I can see why. This is definitely a very wholesome and lovable Christmas movie. I think Jon Favreau did a fantastic job directing it, Will Ferrell and James Caan did a fantastic job leading it, and the story, while a bit cliche, still has a lot of heart and great themes to tackle to the audience. And with the problems I have, they might have downgraded the grade a bit, but this movie is almost the grade I could give it, because overall I'm going to give Elf a 4 3/4 star out of 5. It's nearly a masterpiece, it's nearly a 5 out of 5, but it doesn't change the fact that I love this movie so much, and I would definitely watch it every Christmas. Along with Arthur Christmas and Home Alone, this is one of those movies I would definitely watch every Christmas. As well as another Christmas movie that I believe we're going to talk about in the next video. So anyway guys, what do you think of Elf? Do you still love it? Do you think it's as great as it was in 2003? Or were you not very fond of it and you do kind of not like it? And I can understand why. And let me ask you this question. What two actors in a Christmas movie, or any movie in general, do a fantastic job at making one actor come off as over-the-top greatness and another actor who comes off as, like, subtle genius in comedy? Let me know in the comment section below, if you know what I mean. Anyway, more videos to come. This is definitely the start of a few Christmas reviews I have planned, because the next Christmas movie, ooh, I don't want to give away the surprise, but I will say this. Ooh, you're a mean one, filming Daniel, for keeping the next review a surprise. Yes it is the Grinch, but that was supposed to be a surprise. But anyway, next video is the Grinch. So, until then guys, if you like this video, like it, subscribe to my channel, and I'm Daniel, reviewing movies, TV shows and doing videos, getting dressed up as the Christmas showman once again for another festive year. Till then, peace out man.